They say winning ain't everything. Well, we don't have them type conversations over here, man. Had that conversation with the losers. We trying to win at everything we do. Even in the loss, we don't see defeat. We see a lesson learned. Straight up. Look, I came into this world in 1978. The doc looked me in my face and knew I was something great. 45, 42 Prescott, that's where I'm from. Grew up in the slums around dope dealers and bums. As humble as I was, I adapted to my habitat. In my own lane though, far from where they crashing at. Dumb bar graduate, the game I done mastered it. Served in the Navy, look, y'all don't know the half of it. Pops passed in '01, moms passed last year. I know they up in heaven smiling down, crying mad tears, cause they son making it. No telling where I'm taking it. My city been cursed, but I feel that I'm breaking it. Coached at Wayne High in 15 in one state. Seen the fork in the road and went straight. I know what I'm worth, I'm OG King Kirk. Brooklyn Nets gaming crew legend, let's work.
Hey, this is OG King Kurt, your host of the OG2CENTS podcast. I want to thank each and every one of you who made 2020 a very successful season for the podcast. We truly appreciate it. Just keep continuing to chime in every week as we can. I'll continue to bring on some very important people that can surely inspire you to become what you're destined to be. Just make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Also, give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Helps us out a lot. Links are in the description for all available streaming platforms. Let's continue to stand up against any form of social injustice and racism. And this episode is brought to you by Zenni Blocks. Make sure to armor your eyes with Zenni Blocks Virtual Clear Blue Blockers. It's important to protect your eyes from the harmful blue light from your digital screens, so you'll have less eye strain, and that makes for better sleep and performance. Check them out at zenni.com/gaming or follow them at Zenni Gaming on Twitter and Instagram. Today's episode 45, Miss Teacher Lady, with Alyssa Rose. MSED. She drew me to her by her participation on social media, which is I had never seen a lot of educators use social media platforms to reach the people and let alone students. So I thought it was extremely important to bring her on and have her tell her story. Alyssa is an 8th grade English teacher, English language arts teacher in Central New York. She researches and writes about culturally responsive education and is currently serving as a teacher leader on the Cultural Responsive Education Committee at her school. She is always looking for ways to change the curriculum to ensure that it provides an accurate reflection of all students and a window to where all our students can go. I think that's well put. And without further ado, Alyssa Rose, how you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm ecstatic. Like I say, I bring on all types of people from various spaces of the world to tell their story, and I believe that's how we really get to know one another and really find that mutual ground and respect. And I think what you do is admirable. I think all of us at one point have that teacher / role model that played a significant part in our lives. So whether that be from elementary, from to high school to college, many or wherever, it's always been an impactful teacher that played a significant role. And I think you do a great job of doing it.
Thank you.
Getting right into it, I want you to tell your story and how you got to where you are today.
Okay. This is my interview question, how I kind of started, but ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to be a teacher. I have 3 younger sisters, and I will force them to play school with me. And I would definitely be in charge. I grew up in the inner city. My dad wouldn't let me play outside growing up, and but one thing that really stuck with me from my father, and I'm working on a piece about this, is he just instilled me knowing my history for myself. And he would say, them blanks not gonna teach you in that school. And And this is a man who would buy me the mixed education of a Negro at 13 years old and buy me Sojourner Truth books at about her at 10. So he really instilled that passion in me to find things out about my history for myself. And I always felt like education was the way out. You know what I mean? Growing up, I wanted to make sure my kids were able to play outside because I wasn't allowed to unless I was with my father or my brother. So I went to school. I almost didn't get in because my grades were horrible. I swear, but I knew how to write. So that college essay won them over, and I got into Lemoyne College. I went there for undergrad and grad school. I've taught a little bit of everywhere, rural schools. I did internships at suburban schools, but the urban schools have always had my heart because that's where I come from.
Well, I can relate. I'm a public school graduate. Had aspirations of going to college. Life took a turn. Ended up going to the military instead. Got 4 years of introduction to the world in the United States Navy. Fun time, but I learned a lot. Had to grow up fast, so definitely helped me out. Right now we've been dealing with the pandemic for some months now. Didn't know what was going to happen for schooling and everything like that. And then when I know here in Ohio, some schools, when they started back, they started virtual. Some actually went physical for a while, and then they ended up going virtual. Your thoughts on virtual learning and teaching in the pandemic?
If it was up to me, I would have said we take a pause, let it be a gap year for kids, because it's a lot for them right now. But virtual schooling can only do so much. Hybrid schooling can only do so much. It's nothing like being in the classroom. And I feel for the kids right now, and I'm just trying to keep their mental health going during this time period. Honestly, Wednesdays I do wellness Wednesdays, and I don't assign work. We just one time I was like, take 30 minutes, do something you love. If it's playing video games, that's your wellness Wednesday for today. So to get assigned video games, they was like, all right, I can get behind that, miss. But anything to just keep them going through this. We're all just trying to survive, and they're in the middle of a pandemic, just like we are.
Yeah, I felt I don't know, it was heartbreaking because I thought about my high school experience and how I got to experience everything, prom, my sports seasons and everything like that. A traditional graduation, and then watch how a lot of kids, they got that experience cut short. Like they'll never be able to talk about it at a 10-year, 20-year reunion, as I had the opportunity, and as a lot of people. It was tough, and funny. I actually agree with you. I thought that this year was pretty much like a toss up. Like it's no way you can fail somebody, fail a kid through going through all this. I mean, a lot of people are stuck. They're not. Some people didn't have Wi-Fi. Some kids don't have Wi-Fi to be able to get on Zooms and be able to learn that way. So I felt the same way, and it's just we've taken breaks here. I don't know what they've done in New York, but I know in Ohio, like they have taken some breaks here and there and went to like 3 days a week. Sometimes 4, then they build it back up to 5, and then trying different innovative ways. But I really think it's easy to lose the kids with all of this going on. Your impact on Twitter, IG, and YouTube is rather unique. I didn't stalk. I probed a little bit. Obviously I see you a lot on Twitter because I'm on Twitter a lot. Really, I'm actually on Facebook more than any because that's where my IRLs is at. But you make a lot of great tweets. And IG is very colorful, and your YouTube channel is amazing. I think you put a lot of things out there for a lot of people to learn. Like I said, not just students, but just someone like myself. I want you to talk about that for a second.
So it's when I tell my Twitter journey, I just got on there honestly, just to shoot the shit. And I don't know if it's okay for me to say that, but that's what
talk. Just talk freely.
I was teaching a rural district. I was the only black teacher in the whole district. I didn't where was my people? So I got on Twitter and I'm shooting the shit, joking, cracking jokes. But then I had to, as my platform began to grow, I had a friend of mine and he was like, you got to clean it up, Alyssa. So y'all might pull up my tweets like they did Kevin Hart. Just forgive me. All right. So he said, you got to clean it up. So I tried to clean it up, but I still wanted to be me. Do you know what I mean? Because I used to hate when people would say, I can't believe you a teacher and you saying that. Yes, because I live outside of the classroom. Yes, I curse. I watch Power. I watch Real Housewives of Atlanta, all that. Yes, because I'm a human. And I think people connected with that. And one of the things I love about that is because I have a lot of parents that don't know stuff about what's going on in the school district or about their rights. So that's the stuff I love to get out there. And I have this platform where I'm in teacher Twitter, but I'm still a part of Black Twitter where I could still, have an impact and let people know the real, like what's going on, like standardized tests. People don't know that they don't have to have their kids take those tests. You know what I mean? So they don't know that they can opt their child out. You can't do it at the high school level though, if you want that Regents diploma. But so just trying to, and then I have a daughter with special needs and knowing what the laws are regarding IEP meetings and what you can and can't do with my child. And again, I just feel like parents don't always know their rights because sad to say, a lot of schools are not forthcoming with that information. So that's what I love about my platform on Twitter. And also I have a lot of moms that'll hit me up in my DMs asking me for strategies or support for their kids because my master's is in literacy. So I'm like, okay, you could do this with them. You could do simple things. Like one thing you could do, like KRS-One, that's what my dad had me listen to growing up. But listening to old school rap, hip hop, and even Drake and country, but listen to it because they tell stories. And kids can learn the format of a story through those types of genres of music. So I might tell them that, or just watch a movie and ask your kid questions while you're watching a movie. That's increasing literacy that you never would know. And YouTube has a ton of audio books on there. So that's my Twitter platform. I love Twitter. And
before we move on from Twitter, you I think it's where you made a tweet, if I get murdered by the police, burn this shit to the ground. You made that back in August. And
I meant that with my whole heart.
And I don't doubt it. I mean, my thing was I think I have followed you, but that was I was like, woof. I was like, all right, and that caught my attention. And then I've been following you ever since, tweet for tweet. How sometimes you'll follow somebody, but you may not always keep up with them. But I think that tweet right there really I felt it. And then it came along with a lot of other things that you were talking about were what's the importance of education, of having education or a higher level of education and, being taken out by the police and not meaning anything. And I think I felt a lot of that. I mean, because at any point in time, I mean, it's made it funny. I've never had any interactions or anything like that with the police, but it doesn't mean that I'm not aware when I go out that I don't think about it. I'm already thinking if I get pulled over to get my hands out. So I don't think I had none or anything like that. So it has increases awareness, but continue.
Yeah, so I did mean that tweet. And one of the things I feel like there's this misconception in education that our Black and brown kids don't value knowledge or value learning. And my thing is, and I tweeted about this, I was like, it's not that they don't value knowledge or learning, it's that they're not interested in a whitewashed curriculum. You know what I mean? So if everything is surrounded around whiteness, why do you think that grabs their attention? And one of the tweets that you mentioned is like, how do I tell a student that a PhD is valuable when it's not going to keep him alive if the police pull him over? Do you know what I mean? And really, I'll ask these questions to hear what people have to say.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So what is the answer? Because I have to go into this room and tell this kid that what I'm teaching them means something. And when a boy gets shot for playing with a toy gun, it says it doesn't mean anything. You know, so I try to change change what I teach in my classroom. So right now I'm teaching The Negro Speaks of Rivers, which is one of Langston Hughes' first pieces, but it was what made it so powerful. It was the first time where Africa was highlighted in a beautiful way, you know? And so teaching that to my kids, like the beauty of Blackness, when so much of what they're seeing is negativity. And I did have a nice conversation with someone on Instagram actually about that tweet. And it was a woman a Black woman with a doctorate degree, and she didn't like that. She was like, well, it's just so we can have better economic freedom and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, but what if they never make it there? That's all I'm saying. So I think I try. Sorry.
I don't mean to cut you off. No, I don't mean to cut you off, but like when people say that, like what I've been saying throughout the years, if you look from, I guess, slavery all the way until now, it's bits and it's been sprinkling like bits and pieces of things here and there that have made things a lot better, but there's still some things that are unjust. Like, and we can't overlook that just because, yeah, we may have better economic opportunities and different things of that. It's still some justice that needs to be served most of the time that doesn't get any due. So I mean, I'm with you. Like, I mean, I know some people be quick to defend, but at the same time, everybody, like you're saying, everybody doesn't get a chance to reach those opportunities because
life is cut short before their prime. And I started my YouTube just actually because CNN wanted to interview teachers for going back to school, and I'm gonna keep it all the way for real. I was like, oh, if they gonna get paid off of me, I might as well start my own thing and get paid off of me. And so I was like, I'm gonna get a YouTube and tell my story because I'm obviously interesting if CNN wanted to tell it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it's your story, so why not? Like, I mean, I think the reasoning why you get started to do something, I mean, sometimes can be perceived as a little, off or whatever, but continuing the mission of why you're doing it is really the main purpose. And I think, like I said, I've watched a few videos on there, and it makes I'm one of the type people, like, once I get into something, I get into it. It's just getting me there to get into it, but once I'm in, I'm all the way in. So I watched a lot of videos, and then I start, when next thing you know, I'm hitting Google. Next thing you know, I'm searching about this and that, because I'm one of those who I didn't go to college. So I learned, I obtained knowledge multiple ways, like to navigate to where I am today. So I take it serious, like when I start looking at things, to just like make sure I know what I'm talking about, or make sure, fact checking. I mean, a lot of people, it ain't just about hitting Google one time and then thinking you're on the right track. I mean, talking to people who's educated in that particular subject or arena, or just getting multiple sources.
Yeah, I use, I'm sure you're familiar with the 85 South show. DC Young Fly was on there one time, and he talked about how he hates reading, but everything he ever wanted to know is in a book. And so I actually use that to introduce my independent reading to my kids, my independent reading project. But that's real. Even like Frederick Douglass, he never had any formal education, but he taught himself how to read. So I'm a big advocate for reading.
Yeah. I think, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I was on your IG, but it was a post that I think you had made from Twitter, but you were saying that you wanted a talk back church. Like, I think I know what that means, but I want you to like break it down to me.
So All of my kids are virtual. So we're in the middle of a lesson, and this was before I found out about Nearpod, and it saved my life. So I'm sitting here teaching, I'm going all hard, and I don't make my kids keep their cameras on. I'm like, I get it. I have shown up in my bonnet, so that way they feel more comfortable showing up in their bonnet. They were like, Miss, you got your bonnet on today? I'm like, yes, so show me yours. So they wasn't talking. I was like, okay, y'all know I need a talk back church in here today. And they hopped on their mic and started talking to me. But they understood what I was saying when I said that.
Well, I mean, and see, that's what I'm saying. I think it takes those unique type measures to especially when we speaking in collective groups such as classrooms. Like, you need as many methods and ways that you can reach each and every kid all at one time. So I think it's perfect. We got to get beyond the formal thinking of kids coming in, sitting down at a class and a chair at a desk, for 45 minutes to an hour or whatever, and just like acting like robots. Like, a lot of kids, not saying that kids didn't go through things, back in the day, but, a lot of kids are suffering before they even walk through the door of a school. And I think sometimes we have to recognize that and be able to channel in with them in different ways. And that's what I'm saying. You do that. And, that, but a big smile and joke. And like you say, even with shooting the shit, I mean, it still relates to the kids, and they gravitate to it, and they want to converse. And in turns they want to learn. So I think it's great what you do.
Thank you. I try to I even said this recently, like, kids need time to shoot the shit right now. I don't tell my kids, this is your time to shoot the shit. I don't tell my kids that because I got to keep my job. But especially like in this pandemic, their whole social life is gone. So if you just sit and teaching for that whole 40 minutes, then they go to the next class teaching for that. So I try to leave like at least a good 5 to 10 minutes, honestly, for them to just shoot the shit. Even if it's with me, I wore a horrible wig one day. It was like, Miss, you got on your teacher wig? Okay. Y'all know I'm in charge of y'all grades, right? But I also don't believe in code switching. Now, it took me a while to get there, but I also I want to empower my kids. And, there's a formal name for AAE or AAVE, African American English. And this idea of telling them that their language is wrong, tells them that their culture is wrong, tells them that their family is wrong. And I don't believe that. So come into my classroom and let me teach you how to translate like you would with Spanish. That's your native language. AAE is your native language. Let me teach you how to translate when you're writing. But in terms of code switching for them, I'm not doing it. I had a parent call me ghetto. That's fine. A little bit.
I hate that term. Like, I swear I do. Like, I mean, I know, and like in joking manners, I'm cool with it. But like when people say it for real, it always struck a nerve with me, because like, y'all do know why that is ghettos, right? Like, it's not like we just chose for it to be like ghetto. So like when people say they used to just strike a nerve, like, I mean, all the time for me. And I didn't even grow up in like quote unquote the hood or anything like that. I had like middle class working parents, like, and stuff like that. So, but I had family though. Like, regardless of how you grew up, like, you still have family around you that are in those type of environments. So like, I never liked it, especially if somebody of non-color used to say it. That definitely used to sting a little bit.
Yeah, my high school English teacher used to call me ghetto. Not English, AP World. My AP World teacher used to call me ghetto all the time. And it was okay back then, right? This white man telling this little black girl she was ghetto and just got away with it. But my students, one was like, Miss, how you bougie and ghetto?
But what, they had a term for that, bougetto?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Yeah. The book Monster. I seen you talking about that. I think how you was saying how you wanted it to. I guess they want to implement it, or they have implemented it in the curriculum, but you want to kind of remove it. And I definitely agree with your reasoning, but talk about that.
All right, so let me just say, because You know, I do get dragged on Twitter from time to time. I love Walter Dean Myers. He is a phenomenal Black author. And I still don't want majority white teachers standing in front of majority Black kids with the book Monster and telling them that this is for you to read. You know, I feel like it's connected to the savior complex of white people, which it stems in racism, where they need to come to the hood and save these Black kids from themselves and save them from making really poor decisions. I'm not for it at all. Especially when Walter D. Myers has other books. A lot of Black men retweeted me and said it was one of their favorite books. It made them fall in love with reading. And I thought that was beautiful. I really did. Because again, I love Walter D. Myers. You have Scorpio, you have Hoops, like the list goes on, the contributions he's made to young adult literature. And so that's why it's on my bookshelf as a choice book. I have a lot of books that are choice books, like The Hate U Give is a choice book. I haven't read that one because someone asked me my opinion and I was like, I haven't read it, so I can't tell you. But I do have it on my bookshelf as a choice book. I honestly would like to see it replaced with Tears of a Tiger. And the reason being is Tears of a Tiger has a Black protagonist, but the main conflict isn't his Blackness. Do you know what I mean? Where Monster, it's in conflict with his Blackness, and it's about he's in the criminal justice system. I don't, even right now, like in 2021, after our summer, I can't believe they still thought it was a good idea to read this book with all of 8th graders. I'm like, we having a horrible time with police right now. You think they wanted to come in the classroom and read this too? So Tears of a Tiger, it deals with drunk driving and suicide, which are the two leading causes of death for adolescents. So I feel like that's more culturally responsive than Monster. And also, I'm a big advocate for mental health, and especially Black mental health. And a lot of, in the book, the main character is really struggling, and people can't see that he is really struggling. So I definitely think there'll be needed support of a guidance counselor and maybe some outside sources for that type of book. But I think right now in this time period, that's what our kids need. They're dealing with so much trauma. In the book Monster, just, you know, has them see that trauma again, right? Rather than let's look at something that helps you deal with this trauma through a mental health lens, therapy, stuff like that. So that's my big thing. I can't just choose whatever book I want in my district. So I'm using Common Lit right now, which is it's already vetted. So I've been focusing on nature poetry. And what's interesting is I know disrupt text and people have a problem with white authors. I still got white kids in my class. Right. So someone else on Twitter said, I'm not trying to remove anybody from the table, but I'm trying to make sure everybody gets there. So I did Robert Frost, The Road Not Taken. And I do have a YouTube video up about that because a lot of people get the poem all wrong. They think it's like, you got to choose the best choice. But in the poem, the roads are almost exactly the same. How can you know? And I just want to share this because I had a great moment where the young lady who said, she said, I feel like I could forgive myself for the choices I've made because I wouldn't have known. You didn't know what was all the way down that road or down that road. And I'm like, yes, that's the power of literature. Like, that's the power of a great story. As like this podcast, right? You have people come on here and share their stories. And that's the power of stories. It helps you be a better person and live a better life. And right now I'm into Langston Hughes, but I'm working through nature and poetry. So
yeah, you have me. I mean, I've always been big on self-empowerment books. When I was younger, I used to read a lot when I was in the military because when you're out on a ship, miles and miles away, and all you see is water. You know, when I wasn't playing video games, I would read a lot. So, and I always liked self-empowerment books because I was young and growing up, and I just wanted to have some type of sense of direction. So I mean, now I think you about to kickstart me into, wanting to read different books and learn more than what I know. I mean, even though I'm 42, I mean, I still got a ton of things that I need to know and want to learn. So I like it. The one thing I seen on your IG, yoga. Uh, Yeah, I'm gonna add and ask, like, cause with you being so like heavy involved with social media, like, is it? I mean, have you ever received, like, other than like people maybe coming at your thoughts, like on IG, it's pictures. It's not really about the words, but like, have you ever received any like backlash from you being a teacher and how some of your pictures may come off to some people?
So for a long, again, like I said, I feel like I gotta be allowed to be a human outside of the classroom. Like, we don't get paid enough to not be allowed to be humans. So I have a teacher one that's exclusive just for my students, and that one is not public. That one's private, and my students connect to me through that IG. But I do have my public one, and also like trying to brand myself, and I got 2 daughters by myself that I got to take care of. I had one of the constant things that people always say when they have a problem. I can't believe you do that, and you a teacher. People have I have this really nice picture that I look damn good in. Okay, I had nice little cleavage out. Just had a fresh sewing. You couldn't tell me much of anything. And someone DM'd me like, I mean, this is a nice picture, but do you think it's appropriate for social media? I'm like, what? Like, and another thing, I like reading. I read my social media policy before I signed my contract, so I know I'm good. Don't worry about me. Mind the business that pays you. That's what I really do want to say.
I bet. But the yoga though, what got you into yoga?
So in May, I was diagnosed with depression, and I was like at a real low spot. And I feel like a lot of people going through this pandemic have dealt with some mental health crisis. And I never want to feel that low again. So I was like, what we got to do? What we got to do to get this? So I stopped eating like meat, and then I went vegan. I started doing yoga. I was like, we gotta, therapy every other week. We gotta get this together, because I can't ever be as low as I was that day. And over the summer, my best friend, she's a mental health counselor, and she was doing yoga. And so she came across this scholarship for Black people who wanted to become yoga instructors. So I was like, okay, bet. I was like, it's a free course. Yeah, I'll take it. Where they're like usually like around $300, $500 for these courses. But it's been my peace. Waking up in the morning before my girls do, doing yoga, meditating. And I also bring that into my classroom with my students. Like today is the first day back. And I really have a problem when people don't get upset. When people get upset about kids acting like kids.
Right.
That gets on my nerves.
Those perfect adults.
Yes. So it's the first day back to school. I don't expect these kids to want to talk to me. They probably ain't even brushed their teeth and probably just rolled over and lifted their laptop up. So
right.
So I try to make sure I match that. But one of the things I said to them today, New Year's resolution, I was like, a lot of times we'll make these lofty goals and resolutions. Like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna just make a goal for today. Tomorrow, you might not do none of your work, but today, can you Just get yourself together, even if it's in second period, hit a reset and say, for the rest of the day, I'm gonna sit up like a student and I'm gonna bust this workout. I said, and then that lifts, that builds your self-esteem. That's something attainable. And you could see like, that's not so bad. Now, if tomorrow you fall off, that's fine. You try again the next day. But that's something like from yoga, from mindfulness, staying in the moment. You know what I mean? And just translating that over into my classroom.
Gotcha. I think if you have went through this pandemic and you haven't experienced any form of mental health to any capacity, you might be superhuman. Because for me, it's been tough. I was in New York because I'm in New York for 6 months, and then I come back to Ohio for 6 months. And while I was in New York, like it was challenging because I don't have any family there or anything like that. So it's just me and the team, and we all isolated. So like I'm basically in my apartment 24 hours a day, feeling somewhat confined, but not so much. But it wasn't the real vibe that New York gives. Like, the energy and everything. And I was in Manhattan in the East Village, and I was used to it being real live and colorful and everything like that. And when the pandemic hit and everything being shut down, it was like, man, it was tough. And then now, like in the holidays, normally, from Thanksgiving all the way up until New Year's, not having my mom, not having my dad, not, my big sister, like a lot of people that I'm used to having in my life are no longer here. So it made it even tougher. Fortunately, me and my twin brother, we real tight, and we live in the same building here in Ohio. So being able to talk to him and see him every day helped me out like a ton. Like, that really helped me out because I know we experienced and went through the same thing. So it kind of helps most of the time. Anyway, Amazon. I seen like kind of what's going on there, but I don't really know. Like, I don't really know. Like, so walk me through that.
So I'm an Amazon influencer, and what's great about this is because people always will ask me for like book suggestions, or like I said, like people ask me for literacy tips for their child. So I'm slowly putting things up there that people might be interested in, stuff like that. But so I do have a list of books for culturally responsive education. Like if you want to begin the work and, don't want to ask your Black colleague, where do I start reading? I have you can check my link out. Or like, so you can see my classroom library. I have other books on there too, but you can see like I have a ton of different books on different topics and things for kids. So I just started the Amazon, but it was people always ask me for book suggestion, and I could get like a couple of coins off of that if they take my suggestions.
I'm gonna need to hit that up. Definitely.
See all my book suggestions.
Yeah, because I think, to be honest, like the one thing about I guess I'm gonna ask you this, but I kind of feel like I know the answers. Like with movies, like you prefer the book or you prefer the movie?
Don't tell my cinema professor from college, but I prefer the books, but I do know that movies have a way of doing things that books can't. So I don't devalue the movies, I just prefer the books.
And I say that because I watch so many movies. Like I'm a serial binge watcher. Even when I'm sitting up working on stuff, I always got something playing. Whether I may not be keeping up like second for second, but it's on. So I'm like, maybe I've never tried actually reading a book of a movie. If I watch the movie, I just leave it at that. So like, it's something I may try, and I read
or audiobooks.
Yeah, like I've never did. Yeah, I'll try. I've never did any of that. So like, I was gonna say, you probably opened me up to a whole new world.
Yeah, because it'd be stuff that be missing.
Right. Now at this point of the show, this is called OG Wants to Know. It's rapid fire questions. answer
Okay.
open and honestly as possible, as you wish. Which is I know you will. Biggest influence.
To be honest, for me, it really is books. It's literature. Anything I'm reading, because I just feel like you really do learn for so much from books.
Okay.
And Maya Angelou has this quote, I'm gonna mess it all up, but she says, if I wanted to learn about myself again the way I did when I was younger, I would read. And that's really me.
Okay. I like that. What motivates you?
My younger self. I'm big on quotes. So there's another quote, be the person you needed when you were younger. So I just feel like there's a lot of things I didn't know and I had to learn later on in life. So I always try to give people the game.
Okay. Favorite book?
I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou.
Okay. Favorite sports team?
You haven't been following my Twitter for that long? Because I always say I don't know sports. And when we had sports week, I wore a Ravenclaw jersey from Harry Potter. But if I had to choose, I think the Dolphins jerseys are cute.
Okay, that sounds fitting. I mean, and a lot of women pick teams because of the colors, so that makes sense. But favorite athlete?
LeBron James, because he built a school.
Okay. Favorite actor or actress, or both?
Oh man, yeah. And I wish he would quit playing with me on Twitter. I be at him all the time, shooting my shot.
Hold on, who was that?
He's playing in the Candyman. He was in Watchmen. He's just fine for no reason.
Now it's funny. Now I got another. You got an actress? Favorite actress?
Viola Davis.
Okay. So
that was my celebrity crush too.
Yeah. Now it's funny you say that because I was reading a tweet. What is it? Hill Harper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the pic that you had took with him or whatever, and then I started reading the comments, and you was like, yeah, he should have asked for the one guy said it was some serious eye contact going on, and you was like, yeah, he should have asked for my number. And then my man said you shouldn't have dressed so nicely. He probably felt intimidated. The favorite movie of all time?
The Godfather.
Okay.
And this is one where the book is not better than the movie.
Thanks for telling me. Favorite social media platform?
Twitter all day.
Where do you want to be in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, so my ultimate goal is I want to own a block in my city. So I want to start renting some property. It's just on the south side of my city. They're getting ready to tear the highway down. And what that's going to do is it's going to increase the property taxes, the property values around that highway, which is a majority Black and brown. It's Black people, you know. And what's going to happen is those property taxes that are going to raise, they're going to be pushing the Black people out. So my goal is, and it's going to be gentrified, you know. So my goal is I want to buy up as many rental properties as possible so I could keep Black people in the area at a livable rent. You know what I mean? Because I just, you know how it goes. We've seen it in city after city.
Right. Get it. What advice would you give to anyone looking to get into teaching?
Make sure you love it. Make sure that this is what you want to do, because it's a lot of days where there's a lot of negativity. Not necessarily, it's just the system is broken. It's built on systematic racism. So make sure you're there because you love the kids and you love what you're doing.
Gotcha. And how can people follow you and what you do?
I'm Miss Teacher Lady just about everywhere, in some form or fashion. On Twitter, I'm at Miss__ Teacher Lady. IG is _. I am on Clubhouse now, and that's Miss Teacher Lady. So, and my YouTube is Miss Teacher Lady.
I haven't been in Clubhouse in a while.
You didn't learn how to flip your 600 stimulus to six figures yet?
No. I heard they call it Cap House now. So I haven't been in there. I think I was in there earlier when like a lot of people didn't know about it. And then now, like, I even seen a lot of people from my hometown now, like that, like a lot of them don't, I mean, they just want to be in there. So they in there. So it's got so flooded, and I ain't been back in there since.
I don't blame you.
But no, I think you're really dope.
Thank you.
I think that any kids that have you as a teacher should be grateful. And I'm gonna
remind them that.
Might have to come on and talk to them myself and tell them. But I want to thank you for coming on and doing the podcast. It's been truly a fun time, and I definitely will stay in tune and be on the lookout for you on all social media platforms.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
At this time, I want to thank everybody who tuned into this episode. Make sure you follow the OG2CENTS podcast on all major streaming platforms and social media. Follow myself, OG King CURT, on every social media platform. That's Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can go to www.ogkingcurt.com for everything OG King CURT and the podcast. Make sure you subscribe to my new YouTube channel, OG King CURT, where I'll be doing reactions, OG thoughts, and more. So just make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel. We're bringing a lot of different content on there very soon. Shout out to my team, Shredder Visuals, Side Evermore, and Box Graphics. Make sure you tune in to EsportsXTRA every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 7 to 8 o'clock. That's what host Larry Ridley, the crew, Kelly Wells Brinkley, Antonio Williams, Derwin Worrell, Kevin Mamuzet, and myself. We talk traditional sports and esports. So make sure you tune in, and that's twitch.tv/compete forever. And that's on YouTube and Facebook Gaming as well. Make sure you tune in to next week's episode. And remember, if it makes sense, it's an OG2CENTS. OG out.
Put this work in, fellas. And much, much, much love to the entire 2K community for always showing me love. Without y'all, we wouldn't be here. Yeah.